In this movie, we will take a look at something that I call the Type on a Circle reveal. Here's the QuickTime movie of it. You'll see it goes by pretty fast, but what we have here are two different versions of a reveal of the phrase fan mail from Flounder. Let me come in here and stop the playhead so that I can, whoops. I'm going to pause the playhead here so that I can scrub through and show you. In the first reveal, you'll see that the type is staying still, but it's being revealed by a mask. Okay, the type itself is not moving. It's just showing up bit by bit. In the second one, you will see that instead of the mask moving and revealing letters, the type is actually moving into a place where it's visible. There it goes. So the type is rotating around. Okay? Two different ways of showing some type that's on a circle. First way, reveal static type. Second way, have some type move into an area where it will be visible. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. Going back to Flash, you're going to find the first thing when you hit your text tool is that we do not have the option to make text on a path. So we're going to need to open up our old friend Illustrator to do that. Now, if Illustrator isn't your old friend, like Illustrator isn't my old friend, I actually am no Illustrator expert. I think I'd hardly qualify as a novice. I used to use it a lot back in the 90s, but it's been a long time since then. So even if you're not great at Illustrator, even if you've never seen it before, you're going to find that the interface is very familiar, especially after you've been using Flash. It's another vector program, so a lot of the things work the same. If you get hung up, just Google your question, and just about everything is answered online. So let's go over to Illustrator. And we're going to have to make a new document here. So I'm going to do File, New. And we'll see the defaults. The main thing I want you to check here is to make sure that your units are pixels and that your width and height are big enough to contain the object that you want to create. Now we're going to do type on a circle, and we're going to use the same masking that we used in the earlier movie about the pie wedges. So this is plenty big. You'll see that the color mode is CMYK. We're not going to get into that here. We actually are using RGB color mode in Flash, but that's not going to matter because we're not going to do our colors in Illustrator anyway. All we really want this tool for is to create text that's on a circular path. So let's go ahead and click OK here. And your text tool is right up here. You'll see it's one of these tools that has a lot of options. So the one we want is type on a path. Now, type on a path. What is a path? A path is a line. It's a curve or any kind of vector path, something you might make with the pen tool or something that you might make with one of the shape tools. We don't have a path now, so I was a little bit premature in choosing type on a path. So instead, we're going to go ahead and use the Ellipse tool to make our circle. I'm going to drag out a circle here. You'll see that this is telling me the size of the circle. I'm holding down Shift to make a perfect circle. And you can see I want this to be 160. I measured before I started the recording. And it's going to be really hard to get it right on, so I'm just going to make any old circle, choose my selection tool, select it, go up to the Properties panel. Where's the Properties panel? It's not done that way here in Illustrator. Instead, we're going to have to open up another panel. If you're in the Essentials workspace, you're going to need to come in and open up your Transform panel. Okay, you can see this gives me my X coordinates, my Y coordinates, my width and height. I want this to be 160 in diameter, so I'm just going to type in 160, tab it, took that on for the height as well because I've got the constraint selected here. There's my circle. We will go ahead and place our text on this circle. We do that by selecting our type tool. Come in here and click on your path. You can see that the little green X is there and it says path. So now that I've typed here or clicked here, it's going to put my insertion point using that circle as a baseline. Pretty cool, huh? Now this is too small and I haven't even thought about my font and stuff yet. So we're going to go ahead and choose character. Myriad Pro is what I've been using. However, I do want to make this somewhat bigger. I actually want to take this up to 48 pixels, I believe. Hopefully I'm remembering that right. Okay. Let's go ahead and close that up and say fan mail from. And as you see, that is way bigger than what I used. I didn't remember correctly, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. Open up my character panel again, and in this case, I could come in here and start choosing some of the preset sizes. Let's say 36. Now that I'm remembering, I think it was actually 24. Looks pretty good. Looks about like what I wanted. Now, as you can see, it's really not in the right place, is it? We're going to zoom in here. And I really would like for this to be more rotated around so that it starts and ends at the same Y location. So I can come up here and using my selection tool, you see your box and we see that rotate arrow just like in Flash. This lets me rotate it. I do need a little bit of a help from a guide, so I can come up to View and choose Rulers. Show Rulers. Pull myself a guide down here. And yeah, I was pretty far off on that. So I'm just going to try to hit the middle, and we're just going to eyeball this here. Select it again. And I think I need to come clockwise just a tiny bit. Okay, there we have it. Now, how do we get this into Flash? Well, all we have to do is select. I am getting the type and the circle here. I'm going to copy. We'll just do it this way so you can see that I'm copying. Come over to Flash. Click on a keyframe on an unlocked layer and choose Paste. Let's go ahead and paste it in the center. It is going to bring up some dialog box where you can choose some options. Now, Illustrator isn't going to paste in as editable text, so I really should have checked my spelling, but I think I got it right. We're going to go ahead and click OK here, and there is my type on a circle. Okay. What can we do with this? Well, a few things. I am going to need to reveal it in a couple of different ways. One way is going to be to rotate the mask over. That's going to be pretty easy. Okay, let's go ahead and do that one first. Okay, so we'll make a symbol for this. And let's see, I'll convert this one to a symbol. As you can see, this is a group, and if I went inside it, you're going to see that each one of these letters is a drawing object, and it's not editable type. So actually what I'm going to do is take this group, convert it to a symbol, and let's see, this can be a graphic symbol. However, you know, maybe we might want to add some effects to it, such as maybe a drop shadow or something. Maybe we want to change the colors or something like that. So why don't we go ahead and make this a movie clip? Okay, here is our symbol. We're going to go inside of this symbol because we're on the main timeline right now. There is my text. Now, here's something that we can do here, is we can actually go into another movie. Notice my PyWedge demo movie is still open. If I come down to my library, I can choose PyWedge demo for the library. And look, there are all those symbols that we used there. I'm going to use this semicircle mask again. All I have to do is drag it over here, put my movie back to type on a circle, and look at that. The semicircle mask is right there. Did I forget to name this symbol? Bad me. Okay, so now we have a bit of a problem, don't we? I have this semicircle here. I don't really know how to place it. So what I'm going to have to do is alter my type just a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and delete this for now. We're going to select this type, and as you see, this is still the group. Let's put this in another symbol. Let's put this one and call this symbol text underscore fan mail. That's going to help me remember what it is. This can be a movie clip as well. Okay, we're going to go inside that text fan mail symbol, and we're going to give ourselves a guide here. Now remember, we based this on a 160 pixel circle. Okay, so I'm going to come in with my oval tool, choose that guide kind of color, that color that I will never use in a final product. Choose no fill, and we'll put another layer on here. And we're going to call this one positioning guide. Let's go ahead and name this layer text just to be thorough. Okay, so let's come up to position guide, make our first circle. I'm going to make this one 200 pixels. Okay. And let's go ahead and group that since I'm not making this in object drawing mode. I'm going to make another one. And this one is going to be 160. The idea here is that I want a circle to be my, to show me where the baseline for the type is. And I want another circle for the outside. Okay, forgot to group that one. I'm going to go ahead and group that. Now, let's align these two. Not to stage yet. I'm going to align these two like so that they're perfectly concentric. I want to group these, and now I can align them to stage. Okay, now this is going to give me a way that I can just eyeball my text here to get it right. Now I could have done this over in Illustrator. I actually could have saved out or made some extra circles that I could use. I have found that especially when you're just beginning with Illustrator, that can be a little bit problematic. That's where we're doing it over here in the more familiar Flash territory. Okay, so now I have my symbol. I have my position guides, and these are going to help me quite a bit when it comes time. And later on, you'll see that I can get rid of them. Okay, let's go back. Symbol 1, I forgot to name that one, so let's go ahead and name that in the library. So we text reveal, and I'm going to call this fixed. Okay, so now symbol 1 is called text reveal fixed. Okay, now that I have all this lined up, notice that all this symbol is at 0, 0. It's 200 by 200. Remember, my semicircle that we used in the other movie was based on a 200 pixel diameter circle. So now I can move this over, but not before I make a new layer. I call this text. New layer. This is going to be my mask. Let's go ahead and create this as a mask layer right now so we don't forget. Notice that popped in, so it's got that relationship. We're going to bring our mask over here, and it was locked. Okay, there we go. I'm going to bring this one over. There it is. Remember what we did last time. We had to set that mask so it was turned over, so it moved on to our text. We're going to have to do that here as well. So let's go ahead and put this at 0, 0 to start with so that we're starting from the right spot. Use free transform to move your rotation point or your transform point down. I'm going to rotate this around, holding down shift to constrain it. Okay, now I could do this starting it maybe here, and actually that would probably be the more accurate way to do this so that my tween is not spending time moving this thing through an area where there's no text. Okay. Let's do this one over 15 frames. So I'm going to insert a keyframe here. And look at that, we need to add a frame down here. Rotate this around. Like so. Now all we need to do is in order to view the effect, lock both layers and scrub through. Oops. No, you know what we have to do also? We have to put on that classic tween or else it's not going to move, is it? Okay, so now with our classic tween on there, we can see the mask is revealing or showing some of these strokes for the circles, but we can see as the mask moves around, it will show our text, just like so. Now, this is again one of those symbols that would be really hard to place on the main stage because you know what? All we see is this stuff. So instead, until we're ready for final production, I'm going to put a temporary layer in here, and I'm going to take the contents of this text layer. That's this thing right here. And move it, or copy it, I should say. So I'm holding down Option, Alt on Windows to copy this up here. We will go ahead and come in here and choose a color effect. Let's choose an alpha that's very slow, like 20%. And I'm going to call this Content Guide. Okay, so now when this thing is sitting on the main stage, I can see where that content is going to be. Remember, we'll get rid of that later. So let's put some frames on here so we can see it take place. I'm going to insert a frame. I'm going to say that I want this to only show up, later on. So maybe we want it to start rotating at 15. Well, I could do that by moving this frame down here like so and choosing my play properties. Let's close this library and get it out of the way. And mistakenly, I made this a movie clip. I think I was thinking about filters. So let's go ahead and make this behave like a graphic. So I'm going to tell it to play once, starting on frame 1. So our movie will start, get out to frame 15, then reveal. Okay, so let's go ahead and test our movie. And you can see there's our first text effect. Whoops. As I said, there is our first text effect. We're still seeing my guides and that ghosted out image, so let's go ahead and get rid of those. Remember, we can do that by just coming into the library. Text reveal fixed had a content guide layer, so I'm going to change that to a guide. And believe me, this may seem like extra work, but you will really find this can really save you in some cases. Now here's our position guide as well. I call it position guide, content guide. I should call it the same name all the time, but who's perfect? Okay, change this one to a guide. Now when we come back to the main timeline, you can see that when this thing is first placed on stage, hey, we can't really see anything here. Whenever you have a symbol with nothing on its, or nothing visible on its first frame, you'll just see this little dot. So now we can see our reveal like so. So let's test it. And there we have it. Okay, so while we're at it, let's do another symbol, and we'll do the second effect. And that effect, if we remember, is the one where, not that one, but that one, where the text itself is moving, and it's moving into a fixed mask. Okay? We will go back and let's insert a new symbol. And we were going to call this text reveal moving. That being the text that's moving rather than the mask. And you know what? I learned my lesson. Let's make this a graphic. Okay. Now what we're going to do here is go ahead and first place our mask and then move the text into place. I'm going to bring an instance of my text underscore fan mail. That's my art symbol. That's just the content here. And we're going to make that same thing that we made before. We made that, remember we made a layer that's a position guide. Positino. Okay, this is going to be our position guide. Remember, you know what? I took this and made that layer a guide. So let's unguide that layer so it'll show now. Okay, now I'm seeing my position guide. So again, we'll put that at the 0, 0 point. And what we're going to do is spin this thing around into a mask. Okay, so we'll go ahead and make a couple of new layers. I do like to put my position guides up at the top. That way you always know where to find them when you want to go guide them out. So we'll call this one mask. This one text. And create the mask layer. Alrighty, let's unlock these two. Now our mask is going to be up in this top half. So let's drag out that semicircle mask symbol. And we can align it. I could have just typed in 0, 0 for this as well. Okay, so there is that mask. You can see we may want to change this later, but we're just going to leave it right here for now. Let's lock this. And now we can move our text. Actually, you know, I was going to change it later. I want to change it now. We're going to move our rotation point down. This time I'm not going to hold Shift down because I want to rotate this so that the mask starts right there so that the text can move into this. Okay. Now I can lock our mask. And we're going to go to our text symbol. Hey, I never did put that on there, did I? Well, I guess what I'm seeing is the position guide. Yes, that's what I am seeing. And I forgot to make it all transparent too, didn't I? Okay, we'll set its alpha there. Okay, that's better. That's what I was expecting to see. Okay, we'll come back to our text. Let's see, it was text fan mail was our symbol. We can drag this out. Thanks to my position guides, I can just align it either by typing in 0, 0. You begin to see some of the reasons for my kind of slavish devotion to aligning things with the registration point and using the numbers when you start doing things like this, because it really makes things easier and faster. Okay, so there's our text. We don't want the text to start out here, though. We want the text to start is rotated around. Easy to do, especially since we've got these circles on here. Choose our free transform tool. Transform point's in the right place now because we've got a full circle as opposed to when we're using the semicircles. I'm just going to rotate this around like so. Little further. How about like so? Okay. Let's go ahead and make this one 15 frames long as well. We'll insert a frame here. The only layer that needs a keyframe is this text layer because it's going to be the one that has the tween. So I will go ahead and hit F6 here to put a keyframe at the end. Rotate our text back around. I'm going to hold down, oops. Okay. I was saying I was going to hold down Shift to make it so that it actually constrained it. Let's check to make sure our alignment is right. And you can see, yeah, it looks pretty good. What I was looking for was to see if the position guide aligned with my text. So now I can go ahead and put in my classic tween. We're going to check the rotation here. You can see it's rotating like so. Let's go ahead and check this with both mask and text layer locked, and let's go ahead and hide that position guide. And now you can see there is my text coming in and going around from the side. Let's go ahead and put this one on our main timeline. Okay, there's that one. We can go ahead and maybe delete this after a few frames. I'm going to hit F7 there. Add some more frames. I'm going to reuse this layer because I can. Don't think you have to make a new layer for everything. So now we're going to place a keyframe here, and this time we're going to pull out text reveal moving. There, this is nice that we've got the guides there. I shouldn't move things around with my free transform tool. Instead, I want the selection tool. And I'm not going to worry too much about where this is at. I'm really just worried about making it work and look good. So let's check our graphic symbol properties. I want to play once, starting on frame 1. Add a few more frames here. We'll be able to see it reveal right here. Let's test our movie. Okay, you can see the 1 and 2. Our two different effects. Looks kind of grubby with all those guides there, so we can come in here and get rid of those. Text reveal moving. Just guide out that layer. And then inside of our art, we'll guide out this layer. Now you want to kind of limit the number of these guides that you make so that you don't have to go back into a gazillion different symbols at the end and get rid of them. But they sure are handy. Okay, so there is our text and our two reveals. Now I did mention that we might want to put like drop shadows or something like that, or we might want to put color effects, because you know what, this is black and most of my color has been white so far. So let's see how we can do that. If you remember, inside of our text reveal, let's go ahead and choose text reveal fixed. We are using this symbol for our text here. I'm going to option click on these things so that I see nothing of these upper two layers. I only see this layer. Now we made this a movie clip. This was text_fanmail. So movie clips can have filters put on them. So what we're going to do is come in here and put a drop shadow filter on. But I'm going to say before I do the drop shadow, maybe I want to change the color. Now so far we have changed our color using color effect. I'm going to do that, and we're going to see what it looks like, and maybe it won't do what I want. In fact, I know it won't do what I want, but we're going to just try it first. Okay, so there's my tint, and I'm tinting at 100% of that kind of cream white color that we've been using. Let's close this up and now put a drop shadow filter on. As you see, even just from the default settings, the drop shadow, the drop shadow is this whitish color. Even though the color of the drop shadow is that. That's because we've got a tint on here. So we're going to have to do this drop shadow and tint a different way. Okay, we can leave the drop shadow on, but let's go ahead and get rid of this color effect. I want to show you another way that we can do a tint or a color on something. If you look in the filter menu, we also have an adjust color filter. Let's try that one. Look at that. Adjust color gives me an opportunity to change hue, saturation, contrast, and brightness. Well, hue, saturation, brightness we know already. Actually, we are going to find the hue, saturation, brightness for that whitish color by coming up here and choosing it like so, and going over our color palette. Oops. Well, let me choose it again. There it is. Okay, I'm using hue, saturation, brightness up here. So we see the hue is 53, saturation is 12, brightness is 87. Can I remember that? 53. Okay, I had to look. 12. Brightness is 87. Let's hit enter to commit that. And hey, look at that. It's made it that different color. However, we're going to have to turn up our contrast a bit. And you can see that it gets brighter, brighter, brighter as I do this. And you can also see that I still have that problem. Okay, my drop shadow is still that light white color. But there's a solution to this one. I want you to think about this list of filters. This actually goes in order. So what is happening here is that it's applying the drop shadow first and then adjusting the color after that. What if we change the order? I'm going to put this drop shadow underneath. And look at that. There we have it. Okay, so now my text is standing out nice. Actually, that drop shadow is kind of a little bit too much. I wish they'd put the strength default to like 50% instead of 100%. It's maybe a little bit too far away, so I could bring in the distance a little bit. I should probably be typing that in. Yeah, 3 pixels, it looks good. Okay, now we've got this, and I've done it in text reveal fixed. Okay, so this symbol text reveal fixed will have the drop shadow on it, and there you can see it. It's lighter. It's actually, the text is that white color, and it's got the drop shadow. And you can see that the drop shadow shows even as it's being revealed. Now we go back, and I didn't do it in this one. And so you can see that in that second symbol that we made, text is still black, no drop shadow, none too fancy. So let's test this and see what we've got. And that is type on a circle.